Hey, Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com. Today I want to talk a little bit about staying with people in leadership. And it doesn't matter what you're leading them to do. And I've got a little story to share with you that I'm not ashamed to say it because I was only 6 when this happened. But man, it was an indelible impression in my life. So when I was 6 years old, my parents were separated, and my father had moved to a little place on the water around Annapolis, Maryland area. Arnold was the town, and we went down to visit my family. I had a brother and a sister, much older, but a brother and a sister, and my mom. And we went down to visit, and this was an area that was full of crabs and fish. And my brother and I went crabbing, and we went crabbing by walking in the seaweed. And so we would take a crab net and walk, and I'd never done this before, and I'm following my brother. But in this process, right, something you have to know about me because it's really important to the story, and it's very indicative of what people you lead go through. I am deathly afraid of snakes. It's a phobia, and I mean such a phobia that I can walk by a stick in my yard and jump, right? Because my brain's going, it could be a snake. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's irrational, but it is what it is. And so I'm walking in the seaweed behind my brother, and I'm okay. I know there are snakes there because I've had experience with my snakes already, because as a little kid, I played in creeks. I did all kinds of stuff, and I encountered snakes. And then I would run for as fast as I could for as long as I could because I was terrified. And so I'm walking behind my brother. But, my brother was, at this time, and I was 6, my brother was 12. And, I'm the little brother, the pain in the butt brother. And so, he get a kick out of torturing me, right? I mean, that's what brothers do. And so in this process, we've walked for a little while, we crabbed, and we're in this seaweed, so you can't really see much, except what's right in front of you. But, my brain is gone. But as long as I'm right behind my brother, like right close to my brother, I feel safe. I feel safe enough to keep walking. But as we get to within about, I would say, it wasn't very far. It was the last 50 yards of coming back to the dock where the rest of the family is. My brother thinks it would be really funny to just leave me. And so he just leaves me. He goes as fast as he can and gets out of the water. And I'm standing in this seaweed with no brother in front of me, right? No leader in front of me. And I am terrified. And I stand there and I scream. I scream and scream and scream. And my family, especially my father and a little bit my mother, were embarrassed by my screaming and how I was behaving. I got in trouble for this. Instead of going, I wonder what he's so afraid of. Nobody bothered to ask. I just got in trouble because I was screaming and making a spectacle and embarrassing them in front of their neighbors, right? And so this was, I'll never forget the moment. I can still feel what it felt like to stand there. I mean, it was awful. And ironically, that's one of my favorite things in the world to do now, is to walk and crab. I mean, I did it. It was one of my favorite things to do as a kid. We recently moved to a new home where I can do that again. But the point here is that fear freezes people, right? It freezes them. And you have to understand in leadership that people want someone to follow. They need someone to follow until they're comfortable enough to step on their own. That doesn't mean you do everything for them. It means that you lead them in the trail, right? It's the concept that I teach, and I talk about this in the book Leading with Heart, and I teach it often in corporations, is situational leadership. You cannot just assume where someone is in the curve. And you don't know until you really spend time with someone what their fears are, what limits them, what holds them back. And so it's very, very important to invest in them, nurture them, and stay with them, right? And they'll get to a place, right? I got to where I would go crabbing every day by myself. I encountered many snakes and I ran many times, right? But I did it, right? Because I learned and I got comfortable enough to navigate. And that's what people will do if you stay with them long enough. Again, it's situational because some people are comfortable doing certain things and not other things. And they get comfortable faster doing some things and other things. And their gifting and their strengths and their skills are designed in different areas. So you have to be conscious of that. But they will walk on their own eventually if you will stay with them. And that is such a huge point. So many leaders lose out on really quality people because they don't think about that and they don't stay with them long enough. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have not read the book, Leading with Heart, even though it is written for the home business industry, the concepts are applicable for everything. I'm actually going to write another book that's not more targeted for home business because it's so important. It will help you in your leadership. It doesn't matter what you're doing, especially if you're leading any sort of volunteer. So hope this was helpful for you. See you next time.